Hi, my name is Joseph Alai. Welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk about an epic success story of manifesting a specific person and multiple manifestations in one. This is someone who I ran into in person who recently on my way to the store. Well, I'll tell you the whole story in a minute, but I'm going to explain to you how this person used what she saw on my channel to quickly manifest her specific person. And even though she's been attempting to do so on this journey for over a year, how fast her manifestation came after she applied one of the simple techniques that I've talked about on my channel in a video recently. So this is totally amazing. This is not the first time this has happened, but when I was walking, every once in a while, I'll walk to the store in the morning to get something for breakfast. And when I was on my way, all of a sudden I heard something coming from down the street around the corner. And all of a sudden this woman in a coat comes running towards me. And I thought maybe she was running behind me, but really she had her arms out like this. And listen, I'm in England. I don't know anybody here. I don't have very many friends here. I only have friends that are Athena's friends. And this person I did not know who they were. And there was a man who was behind her. I just looked behind me for a moment to make sure that there was someone behind me, and there wasn't. And this person was coming right for me. And all of a sudden she ran and gave me a hug. And she said, "Thank you, Joseph. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." And then she turned back and she said, "It is him." And I'm like totally baffled. I don't know either of these people, but I have this sneaking suspicion that it has something to do with YouTube. It has something to do with my channel. It has something to do with the teachings. That part has happened before. I've had a video that I shared years back with someone who was watching my video. And as I walked into a restaurant, she looked up and saw me and was speechless and turned her phone towards me, and that she was watching the video at the same time. But that in and of itself at this moment was amazing. It's already happened here in England, London before, but this was a little bit different. And she gave me a hug and she got off and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't believe it's you." And she turned around to whoever she was with and she waved him to come near. And then she said to him, "It is him." She's like, "This is Joseph Alai." And then she proceeded to tell me, "Joseph, you're not going to believe this. I was just talking about you, and this is my boyfriend." And she points to this guy who's following behind and a little embarrassed. He doesn't know who I am. I don't know who he is, and I don't know who she is either. But a lot of times when people talk to me, they feel like they know me, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of people spend time in front of the screen talking to me, but she said, "I was just talking about you. And she said, this is my boyfriend. And I was just telling him how I manifested him through watching your video." And so then I proceed to inquire a little bit. And I'm just sitting there first I'm baffled and dumbfounded, but I have a big smile on my face. I'm a little confused, a little shocked, but I'm happy at the same time. And amazed also. And she proceeds to say that she was just having this conversation with him about the things that she had to go through in order to be in a relationship with him. And I said, "Well, explain to me then, please. It's nice to meet you." You know, I shook hands with the guy, with her boyfriend, just so that it wasn't awkward. And then she proceeded to tell me exactly what happened. She said that she had seen my videos a long time ago. She had seen them, like witnessed them, but not watched them. And she said that she generally resonated with a female audience more. But in this case, what happened was for a little bit less than a year, she was following two teachers that taught manifestation on YouTube. And she said that in doing what they were saying, one of them mainly focuses on affirming, and then the other some other spiritual stuff. But the affirmation, she said she really thought that was going to lead her to where she wanted to go. She had been doing them for a long time. She had been manifesting text messages from this person. She had been manifesting meeting up with this person. She had been manifesting bumping into this person, but then it would just stop, just completely stop. She said that although what was happening with her, she would go on this person's video and it would be filled with comments of people who were saying, "This stuff works. I bumped into my person. They texted me today," all this stuff. But she realized it was the exact same stuff that was happening to her, but no one was actually getting their specific person. Every once in a while, she would scroll down, maybe every few months, and see that someone had gotten their person, but then they would come back and report that they hadn't gotten their person. So she remembered one thing that I said, which was about imagining the end. And how if you want definitive results, if you want to manifest your specific person, ultimately and completely and definitively, then you have to imagine the end. And the video that I was referring to at that time was talking about the imaginal seeds and how they are separate when you imagine different things. So in other words, when you imagine something like a text message or something like an I love you or something like a kiss, a seed is planted. And this is the same with all manifestations. Any manifestation that you imagine will plant a seed within the subconscious mind, which is the same thing effectively as the quantum field. And in that regard, when you plant that seed, which the DNA of that seed consists of the ways and means to lead to that manifestation, but they do not connect to each other. In other words, the same way as you plant a seed in the fertile soil, they do not grow into each other. They do not combine to each other. One doesn't stop and another one starts. They're literally independent. They do not grow one from another. And this was in the back of her mind after a while that started playing in her mind saying, is this what's actually happening? So at that point, what she did was she went to my channel and she saw the video on the list method. And that to her was comforting because it was very similar to the sorts of things she was doing when she was affirming. It was simple, short, concise statements. And by the way, if you have not yet tried my list method experiment, please do it. It is extremely powerful. You go to that video, you watch it, and within a week, you will have mastered manifesting to an extremely large degree from your own experience rather than watching videos. Well, even watching me, right? You'll have to go there and do it yourself, but the results are extraordinary. And please comment to attest to this for those of you who have used this and tried this before. So she went on there and she started doing this technique, and she started writing down a variety of different things and watching them manifest one after the other. And she started to realize what I was saying was absolutely true. She was witnessing how different seeds have different time spans. This is not something that has to do with beliefs. This is just independent. Because remember, this woman had no beliefs related to a bridge of incidents. She was watching people who were saying that there was no bridge of incidents, that things are instantaneous if you just remove your beliefs, because only the understanding that things have cause and effect is the way that they do have bridge of incidents. So in other words, believe it or not, there is a group of people who believe that there are no cause and effect, that things will manifest instantaneously. I have videos describing and debunking this. And although things do sometimes manifest instantly or within a sphere of a couple of days, in the majority of cases, this is random. This has to do with the bridge of incidents. This has to do with the DNA of the seed, which depends upon the current situation that we're living in. In other words, in order for a manifestation to unfold, there are events that have to happen. Those events cause other things to happen, and ultimately, thoughts leads to action. Person's beliefs change, behaviors change, experiences change, and you get your manifestation. That's how it works. So by doing the list method exercise that I talk about in my video a couple months back, she was able to quickly and effectively not only prove what I was saying was true, but she began to realize the flaw in her ways. She knew that she could get the text message anytime she wanted. She could get whatever. Now, by the way, at this time as she's describing this to me, her boyfriend is just listening, shaking his head, nodding. And I looked and I stopped and I said, well, dude, so this was happening. What was happening in your life when you were writing down when she was doing this, right? In your mind, what was happening? Did you know she was manifesting you? So he knew manifesting, but he himself had no idea that this girl was manifesting him. But he said that he would get the impulse or the thought to send a text message, but then after the fact, it was just like his attention went elsewhere. There was no continuous thought and feeling about her. And again, I was asking her, but this is when you were writing down things like text messages and, hanging out and bumping into him. What happened when she would write down that you would bump into her? And he would say how he would just get the thought and he would be hanging out with people, or he would be at work and he would get the thought to go here instead of there, and he would bump into her at the coffee shop, or he would bump into her at the restaurant at night. All of this was when she was writing down the intermediary things, the instant gratification things. And then I said, well, what did you do in the end? And she said to me, well, I watched a video where you talk about the importance of imagining the end and the simple thing you can do to manifest. You talked about it being the silver bullet of manifesting, which I have said that many times. Imagining the end, and imagining the end before bed, or the state akin to sleep, really is the silver bullet of manifesting. But she said she had trouble imagining before bed because she would just fall asleep instantly, or her mind would wander all over the place. She said what she had learned prior was that it's not supposed to be difficult to imagine. She said she heard that from the same teachers who were telling her to just affirm 1,000 times a day. So she said that she would give it another try. And what she did was she sat there at night, she listened to me, and it was before bed, a little bit before bed, not when you're exhausted, but a couple minutes before that. And she had her imaginal scene pre-planned, and she imagined being married to this boy who stands in front of me right now. And she's saying this to me as he's standing right there, and he's just like, I didn't know what he was really thinking. I'm like, how can you, I don't know. It was really awkward for me to be there between the two, but at the same time, it was fascinating for me to hear, because it was exactly what I've been teaching, what I've experienced as well. So she describes him and her in the bed with a wedding ring on, talking about how grateful they are that they were married to each other. She planned that out beforehand, and then a little bit before bed, so she was kind of tired but not exhausted, and she didn't lay on her back, which is how she falls asleep. She was kind of propped up a little bit elevated, so she couldn't just pass out, and she imagined that scene. But she said at the beginning it wasn't easy, but she listened to what I said in the video, which was you don't have to have it 100% clear, you don't have to have it extremely vivid, it doesn't have to be as realistic. You're not supposed to be able to witness it in your imagination as the same as this reality, right? It's black when you close your eyes. She said that was a video that really helped her when she listened to that, which I also said that in a video a couple months back. And sometimes to picture, it can appear in the back of your mind almost, it looks like. So in other words, she imagined it probably, she said something like a third of good is what she said. It wasn't even good. But she just kept imagining it over and over. And anytime the thought came up that she was doing it poorly, she would push that out of her mind and she would keep repeating it. She only did this for 5 minutes, she said. But she said at a certain point, she played the scene through. She couldn't see his face clearly. She couldn't see anything clearly. But in her, she knew that it was him. She heard his voice. She had the thoughts that she would have if she was in that bed with him. And once she did that, she felt like she had done a good enough job to stop. And then once she did that, she just laid down regularly in bed and then went to sleep. She said the very next day, he said, so I asked him, so what happened? And he said, I texted her, asked her to hang out. I was thinking about her. We hung out. We had a great time. We ended up going out to dinner. We hung out all night. And I knew right then and there that I loved her, that I was in love with her. Now, and then I said, but did you feel that way before? And he said, not really necessarily. He said, I didn't necessarily dislike her, but I didn't love her. I didn't really know that I wanted to be with her. I thought she was really cool. I knew she was pretty, but he didn't have that distinct, definitive knowing. But by the end of the next night was when he knew. So that was fascinating, because the events that transpired during the evening were those that pushed him into the position mentally that caused him to fall in love with her. In other words, it wasn't an instantaneous dimension switching. It was a small bridge of incidents that unfolded. And it was at the end of the night that he knew. He didn't ask her to be his girlfriend right away, but the next day he called her up in the morning. Well, kind of morning. He said it was mid-afternoon, because they had slept all day, both of them, because they were up all night. They hung out again, and he made her his girlfriend at that point. And she was so happy, but I asked them both. I kind of wanted to know how they felt about the whole marriage thing, considering she had talked about the scene. And he said, I'm definitely going to marry her. There's no doubt about it. He said, it's early right now, but I know for an absolute fact. I just don't want to look weird in front of my friends and family to do it. That's it. The keys of what they said, what she said, he had to do nothing. He wasn't necessarily against it, but what was happening beforehand was leading to nothing. It wasn't leading him to having any deep feelings of continually wanting to hang out with her. He would forget about her completely and then live his life. He was still interested in other girls, but it was when she imagined the end that the ultimate scene began to take hold in reality. That seed was planted. It forced him and her to hang out, him to catch extreme feelings, make her his girlfriend, and they're both talking about marriage. That was the coolest thing ever. So they live close by. Hopefully I can bump into them again. You're probably watching this video. That was one of the coolest things that I experienced. Thank you so much for bumping into me and saying hello. But on that note, listen, that is how easy this stuff is. Don't fall for the get rich quick stuff. This can be just as effective. In fact, it's way more effective. This is permanent. Get rich quick stuff such as imagining middles or being in love with or being obsessed with or texting you and all this type of stuff. It never works. When it manifests, it fades away and the manifestation restarts. I have plenty of videos on this. This is testable. Take it from them. And if you want to manifest like this person did, just watch my video, subscribe to my channel, share it with other people, share the truth of how easy manifesting can be when you don't mess with the middle, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.